Finished is better than perfect. We've all heard this saying before, and it is absolutely true. Finish is better than perfect because if you strive for perfection, you're never going to finish. So you're just going to be working on whatever project you're working on indefinitely, because striving for perfectionism can really, really hinder you. And it also can become some sort of procrastination to move forward, because you're just constantly working on this one thing, saying, oh, this thing is not so perfect, I need to chisel some more at it, work on it some more, and you never move on to other things. So finish your work. If you are the type of artist who posts your art online, finish it, post it, move on to the next. So I'm a big believer in quantity leads to quality. So this is I think this can be quite a debate, the idea of quantity over quality versus quality over quantity. I think there are good reasons for both cases, because the idea of focusing on quality rather than quantity, I think it depends. I think it depends on your goals and what you're trying to do. Like if you are a beginner artist, my view is that you should be focusing more on quantity rather than quality. You're striving to make quality work. It's not like you're just trying to make mediocre work and move on to the next one. You are striving to make quality work, but I think what I'm trying to say is, if you are a beginner artist, you should limit your scope. Limit your scope to small topics so that you can make a lot of them. So if, for example, you are studying gesture drawing, gesture drawings can be very quick. They're very quick exercises. You knock out a figure drawing within a couple of minutes and you move on to the next. You're practicing, you are building your drawing muscle. So the focus is just to knock out as many as you can. And then they're not, because if you look at gesture drawings, one might say they're not finished drawings, So you are just doing these quick drawings to build your skill of constructing figures, and you're doing as many as you can. So to me, that is one example of quality over quantity, because this is an example of quantity over quality, because you are making a lot of drawings, and that will lead to you getting better to make more quality figure drawings. So, and I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of quantity over quality, and that's what I try to do. I'm more into sketches, as you might have noticed. I like making sketches. I don't really do colored rendered work. I suck at it, and I don't really enjoy it, if I'm being honest. I just prefer the sketches. Making sketches are cool. I do add color, but it's very, very like simple flat colors. It's not even cell shading. It's just adding flat colors with a basic shade. Kind of like watching an animated show, like an anime, for example, where there's no cell shading. It's just one color and another shade of color for shadows. So I do that sometimes, and I like the look as well. But I prefer sketches, and my goal is just to make as many sketches as I can, and I believe that will lead to me improving. So I'm not focused on creating perfect work, you know. I actually like the imperfection, the look of imperfection in my sketches. I like that look. So, and I think it can be a good thing, this idea of embracing imperfection in your work. So, hey, you know what? My work is not perfect. That's fine. I knock it out. I move on to the next. Knock it out. Move on to the next, and that will help me improve. So I think it's a very important. It's a very important thing to incorporate into your work, this idea of embracing imperfection. I think that will lead to better work in the near future. And and I don't know, there's something about imperfect work to me that adds a bit of authenticity. It just seems a bit more authentic. I'm not saying quality work doesn't look authentic. It absolutely does. I'm just saying, just letting your art be, not trying to keep molding it into something exceptional. It adds a little bit of authenticity to it, I think. So, don't try to overwhelm yourself with the idea of creating perfect work. Just whatever you create is done, move on to the next. You learn something from it, And I'm pretty sure a lot of you have experienced this as well, where you make a sketch, you say, that sketch is cool. I wanna turn this sketch into like a finished rendered piece, and you clean up the lines, you add some colors, and then afterwards you look at it, you're like, I actually prefer the sketch. This has happened quite a few times in my drawing journey, where I make a sketch that I like, but when I try to move it to a finished piece, I don't like the finished piece as much as I like the sketch. The sketches just look so much better. Like I used to collect a lot of comic books. My favorite comic book artist is Jim Lee. And I collect the volumes, these comic volumes. And the nice thing about these volumes is at the back, they show you Jim Lee's sketches. So the pages are inked and rendered and colored. And don't get me wrong, they look amazing. They look absolutely amazing. But for me, it's like when I turn to the back of the book and look at Jim Lee's sketches alone, I like them more, man. They look so good to me. But again, the finished pieces as well, the interior pages, the inked and colored drawings are amazing, because the guys that Jim Lee work with, because I think it's a trio. It's him, and the guy who inks is Scott Williams, and the colorist is I forgot the colorist's name now. Alex Sinclair. Yeah, I think that's his name, Alex Sinclair. These three guys, they make magic. They've been working together for many, many years, and they still work like old school ways. I believe Scott Williams doesn't ink off of blue lines. He just takes Jim Lee's pencils as they are and he starts inking. Anyway, their work is amazing. But for me, it's the sketches, it's Jim Lee's sketches that I like the most. Another guy whose work is incredible is Joe Madureira. It's one of my favorite comic book artists as well. His art is incredible. In fact, his pencils are so good that some of his comics, they don't even get inked. They just color on top of his pencils. I believe he's the comic Inhumans. Yeah, I think Inhumans is just pencil work. And then the colorist just comes and add color on top of his pencils, because his pencils are so good. They are so good, So, that's what I'm trying to say, that, just focusing on, practicing, building your art skill rather than finishing a piece, because the amount of time you take to draw a complete finished piece, you could have knocked out quite a lot of sketches and and that you would have added quite a bit of mileage, and the more you do that, the better your sketches get. Who knows? Maybe in the future I might reach that goal of creating a sketch that is on Joe Med's level, where it just looks so good as a sketch. Someone can just come and color on top of it. That is the goal. That is the dream. I really want to get to that stage where my sketches are so good that they just looks like finished pieces. Yeah. Because I'm not really into, like I said, I'm not really into creating rendered work. I just like making sketches. So my stuff is so imperfect, and of course I still have a lot of learning to do. Like my fundamentals are not to the standard that I would like. I still need to learn more. There's a lot of improvements that I need to make, and I'm okay with that. I'm not expecting perfection for myself. I just make art and make sure I'm having fun doing it, and then move on to the next. And I think that's a nice approach. So it's something that I would recommend to all of you. Just make more art and keep making more art. Don't worry about being perfect. The more art you make, the more confidence you get, and the better you get. So yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about today. Thank you for checking out my video, and I will catch you in the next one. Cheers.